right. Okay, awesome. Well, we're live, we're on Facebook, I'm recording, so let's do this. All right, happy Wednesday, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Spending part of your midweek night with us. We have a special guest speaker with us, joining us tonight, Jenn. Jenn Brango, she owns the Diamond Divas Metabolism Academy. Did I say that right?
You're right.
So Jenn's joined us tonight and is here to just drop some knowledge and answer any questions that you might have. So if you're here on the actual call with us, you are more than welcome to raise your hand, unmute, to ask questions. You can always drop questions in the chat. If you're on Facebook and you have a question, please drop it into the chat and we will monitor that and get everything taken care of there as well. So without me taking up too much more time, I'm going to turn things over to Jenn. Again, thanks for joining us so much. I really appreciate your time tonight.
No problem, Clarissa. It's a real honor to speak to you ladies. If you guys want to know a little bit about me, I've been in the business for over 16, 17 years, fitness and industry. I started as a personal trainer, driving around in my car with weights in the back of my car, all the way up to owning a gym. So we closed the gym after COVID, and now we're working all online. The big thing for us and for me, my journey has been with women. And as we all know, in this business, women are the ones that are seeking change. A lot of the clients that we all see are women. And so with that process, I, as a woman in the fitness industry, and me as a woman personally, dealing with my own body image issues and all my mindset pieces, I found that the physical part was great. The nutrition part was awesome, but the mindset was one of the keys that we really needed to dig into, because we can know what to do. We can know how to do it, but for some reason we fail to do it because of how we're thinking about ourselves while we're doing it. And so I dug into the life coaching piece because I felt like that was a piece that needed to be hit. And a lot of the clients I talk to are women that are 35 plus, and they've been struggling with their body image, but they also still want to get results. And so how they eat and how they exercise is a reflection of how they feel about themselves. And so it's a big, huge piece. So I know the ladies here, Clarissa, are probably much like a lot of the ladies I talk to, very much about their health and well-being. They'd like to get results. They probably are very active in their life. They probably are wives and mothers, and they have jobs. And a lot of that can influence how we treat our bodies and how we see our bodies doing it. And so I found in my experience with the coaching that I do and the women that I speak to, it's very important to dig into that mindset. How you think and feel creates the actions that you take. Oftentimes we don't realize the results we're getting are because of how we're thinking and feeling. And we don't even realize that the thoughts are creating these feelings that we don't want to deal with, right? We don't have time. So I'm the kind of person I'll ask you, how are you feeling? And most of my clients are like, what are you talking about? Like, let's just talk about the nutrition, right? They're like, the first conversation I have is, how are you feeling? What do you mean? Don't you want to know my macros? Don't you want to know what I'm doing in the gym? And I'm like, no, how are you feeling? And I always ask, what's important to you today? Because every day we believe that we're stagnant, and we're not. So it's huge in this world that we live in as women. We need to understand that our thoughts and our feelings do reflect that. But the other piece and I'm speaking from a heterosexual woman, so from my perspective as growing up as a woman, I found that most women don't even realize that they put it through the filter of how I look before they do anything else. So it doesn't matter if they're feeling good. It doesn't matter if their life is well in other areas. They can't find peace and happiness until it looks good on the outside. And so that is a filter that we've all been taught. How many times have you had somebody say to you, you look good, or you don't look so good, or you look like you've lost weight, or are you working out? It's always how we look on the outside is kind of the facade that we carry. And we don't even realize that's the background noise that we make decisions. So when we don't eat, or when we do eat, or when we don't exercise, or when we do exercise, it's always about how we look before it's how we feel. So that's why I always start my conversations off, how do you feel? Because if you start connecting the dots and realizing that your body is not an ornament, it's an instrument. Your body's not here for viewing. It's not here for approval. It's not here for anyone else. It is an instrument in this life. And so you have babies, you have jobs, you have lives to live, you have purpose. And your body, how it looks, is not your purpose. And it's really important for us to break that cycle and that conversation, because we live that conversation every single day. So I'm one of these people, I get very passionate about it. That's why I'm like, emotions are really huge for me, because I've always been told as a kid, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, like, oh, you're too sensitive. And you walk in the room, you're too much. And so as a kid, I was like, oh, okay. And so we filter through that. And I speak to a lot of women, and our conversation is, the norm for being a woman today is being small, being agreeable, and being beautiful. That's our purpose in life, right? And so we put it through the filter. And so everything we do, we don't even realize, our mothers, our grandmothers, our grandmothers' grandmothers, this is the conversation we had. We also were put in a place that we look at Hollywood. What do we see every day? We look on the internet. What do we see every day? We see perfect bodies. And of course, you might believe that you're confident in your body, but if you keep scrolling or looking, our brains are trained to see what it sees all the time. And our brains are trained to actually compare. And so when you sit in comparison, it's not a bad thing. It's actually it's just a biologic thing. It's an evolutionary thing, but your brain will compare. And if your body does not look like that picture or that person, you're going to put it through that filter, and you're going to start picking apart yourself. You're going to look in the mirror every day. You're going to wake up and you're like, what's wrong with me? Okay, now this is what I'm going to decide. I'm going to get on the scale. The scale doesn't tell me that I'm good enough. I'll look in the mirror. I'm not good enough. I'll go and cut back my calories, and I'm going to go hit the cardio equipment, right? We're going to go hit it hard, and we're going to make ourselves smaller, agreeable, and pretty. So we have that filter, and that's hard to break. That's hard to break, because we always want to fit in that black dress. We always want to be that woman that's, look at you. In my own experience, you look great. You don't look your age. You look like you're so fit. Of course, that's a dopamine hit. That feels good. But then when it starts to go away, when I start to see the wrinkles, or I start to see the cellulite, and I'm like, oh, I got to keep this up. So what do? I cut back my calories. What do? I go and work out harder. And then what happens? Our metabolisms start to adapt to this down regulation. We are working out too much. Then we start to see the autoimmune disease. We start to see these symptoms, but actually we don't listen to those symptoms. We're hungry, we're craving, we're moody, we're not sleeping. Who cares? I look good, right? That's what we do. And the hard part about it is when you, Clarissa, you get clients that come to you and they're like, I just want to lose the weight because I want to look good in the dress. I want to look good in that outfit. I want to look good for that wedding. I want to look good on the beach. The problem is they're putting it through the filter that they have to be smaller, and what their body looks like right now, it's not good enough. And so whatever you do from that place of not good enough, it's never going to be good enough. You're never going to be happy with the journey. So you're never really going to want to be motivated. That's demotivating. So you got to get good with where you are right now so that you can take that step, so that you can like the process, because the process that you're going to go through is going to be hard. It's not going to be fun. It's going to be boring. It's not going to be like instantaneous. And that's the hard part, is building up that emotional, physical, and psychological resilience. And that's a challenge that we all need to go through. But I know, Clarissa, you're just like me. You know that the women that we talk to, this is the journey. You as a coach, we're passionate about this because we know we've probably gone through it ourselves, and we're passionate for fighting for you because we want you to break that cycle and that pattern. We as women want to break this pattern. We want to stop underfeeding ourselves. We want to start living purposeful lives. And the hard part is how am I thinking? Because that creates the feelings, and then I act in a manner that's not in my value. And then we get results that we're like, what's wrong with me? And it's, you're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. We just need to work on getting you in a place that's healthier mentally, emotionally, and physically. So that's kind of my talk. Yeah.
I think it was a fantastic.
Yeah. So I'm just curious. Clarissa, I know you guys deal with like you guys talk about vegan. So tell me, I would be curious to ask you, like when your clients come to you, do you experience that kind of, I want to get into the dress, I want to look good, all those other things?
Yeah, absolutely. The vegan women have exactly the same kind of goals and scenarios and situation as a non-vegan. Generally, it's kind of can be harder because sometimes metabolism is very severely downregulated because plant choices are way less in calories than non-plant choices. So then we have that aspect to work through as well, which is, like you said, it's really challenging. You said something that was interesting about mindset. So if we're thinking all of these negative thoughts, something that I've been exploring with a lot of clients is that when we do that, then we're sort of manifesting what we keep thinking. Is that something that you experience as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. So like I said, in general, it's getting clear on what our thoughts are that are creating the feeling. So we often say, I think I feel, and that's really a thought. And the thought is really creating a feeling. So we dig into, like you said, we dig into how you're thinking about yourself, because we feel the feeling and sometimes we don't even realize the thought that created that feeling. And, and we believe that it's certain emotions that are creating it and we have no control over it, but we actually have some sense of control. It just takes conscious awareness of the thought that created that feeling. Oftentimes it's really helpful to kind of explore, what do you feel in your body? What is the sensation, as opposed to saying I think I feel angry, or I think I feel fat. That's not even a feeling, but I think I feel is really just a thought. It's getting into the actual sensation that's helpful. So that can start the process of getting into the mindset piece, because we don't even aware subconsciously we're thinking these thoughts. And when you can bring them to the surface and actually write them down, I find that some of my clients, what I have them do is write down all the thoughts they have when they feel this feeling. So what are all the thoughts that you're experiencing when you're having this sensation? Maybe it's a clenching of your chest. Maybe it's like, I can't breathe. Maybe it's your stomach hurts. Maybe it's a clenching of your shoulders. Sometimes it's that feeling of your head, you're like, your head feels full. It's when you have that feeling, what are the thoughts that you're having? And it's really helpful to kind of explore that, because that can also, I'm sure when you're exploring food, the sensation we have when it comes to hunger, energy, and cravings, our hunger, we sometimes don't even realize that we have hunger. And when we experience hunger, we suppress it so much that it manifests itself in a different way. So a lot of women know how to not feel hunger. They just don't know how to feel the hunger. And so it's helpful to kind of get into the sensations of feeling, and then they can start feeling some hunger feelings too. They can separate it, because sometimes hunger for them can actually be scary, because if I'm hungry, then I have to eat. And if I have to eat, then I'll gain weight. It's that kind of that cycle. And what's unfortunate though, is that 3 in 4 women experience disordered eating. Oh, yeah. So Yeah, so it's 75% of the women. So if you're sitting in a room of 4 women, 3 of them are experiencing disordered eating. It's just a natural thing. So it's difficult to kind of understand that if we're all sitting in a room and everyone's thinking and doing the same, of course, you're not going to, like, if you start doing something different, you're going to feel like there's something wrong with you and you're not fitting in anymore. So that's why it's exploring that, so you can actually get deep into who you are and accepting yourself for who you are outside of the group. Hopefully that explains it.
Absolutely. I think something we should touch on real quick is that the disordered eating does not mean that you have an eating disorder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a disordered eating pattern, and thoughts and behaviors that you have around food. It's not like having anorexia or bulimia or
No.
orthorexia or any of those things that really need
Right.
help. Disordered eating does definitely require help, and intervention can be very helpful. I love your tools for writing down the thoughts. That's something that we tend to do just more so when we're having problems with binges or overeating, and utilizing that. But I think overall, that would be an excellent tool to implement even on a daily basis when in using it for thoughts. Because that could really help to unravel, why you feel that way.
Right.
Okay,
right. Because yeah. And that a lot of our clients, a lot of us, we start the day off with our problems and we don't even realize that that's how we're starting our day. And so we spend the whole day. And one of those problems starts with stepping on the scale. And the problem is I'm fat. And then the problem becomes, now I need to lose weight and now I look fat, and all the decisions we have to make based on that problem. And so we wake up and we don't even know that that's the automatic thing that happens. So that's where I, like writing down your thoughts, because then you can know, like, it's hard to shift out of that mindset when you're not even aware that that's how I want to be happy is really helpful. But how does that happen if you're constantly thinking unhappy thoughts or negative thoughts? So it's creating a practice that you can write down all your thoughts, and you can see how you're not creating the happiness, and how can you change those thoughts to create more happy thoughts, and how can you practice those instead of the ones that you're currently thinking. And that's where I always start with, like, let's start writing down your thoughts today. I know you want to lose 20 pounds, but let's write down what's going to get you there. Let's create that positive, consistent thought pattern that's going to help you walk through each day, so that when you do have a down day, that you can reference those positive thoughts and start looking at those instead of the negative thoughts. Make sense?
Makes a ton of sense. I think that's super, super valuable.
Yeah. So it's really hard, but it's definitely something, because we don't want to know what our thoughts are. It's kind of scary in there. I don't know about you, but there's some scary stuff going on.
Right. Yeah, for sure. What would you think would be a good way? I think I know what you're going to say, but what do you think would be a good way for women to detach, the emotion that is tied to stepping on the scale?
So there's a couple things that I do with some of my clients. Sometimes it's so painful. Obviously, the first conversation is, let's just not do it for a little while, and let's start attaching to non-scale victories. The first part is, let's start attaching non-scale victories. And then it becomes a decision on their part when they're ready. And let's start talking through what it looks like for you. What thoughts are you having when you step on the scale? What does it mean to you when it looks like this? What does it mean to you when it looks like that? And just start going through the process and dealing with those thoughts, because the scale itself is it's just a scale. The problem is we put so much power and value in what it says that we don't even realize that we disempower ourselves so much, and it's giving the power back. It's like realizing that reinforcing how you feel about yourself takes practice. So if it's a practice that they want to take on, a lot of times it's, okay, let's start the process. And then if they start to feel like it's it's difficult, then let's do it twice a week as opposed to every day. Let's do it less often. And then if you decide that you want to go more often, let's talk about it and let's see what it looks like for you. Obviously, if you have a weight loss goal, I'm not going to say that's no, never. I'm not of that opinion. I think anybody, whatever goal you want to do, we can do it, but let's do it in a positive frame of mind and let's reach it at a place that you're going to be able to sustain it and it feels good to you. What does it look like for you? I'm the coach. I have a lot of advice, but I'm not going to tell you what to do because you need to be empowered to make decisions for yourself. And so I'm going to ask you empowering questions. What does that feel like? What does it mean about you when you weigh this? And that's helpful. And so if we can walk through that process, if they feel like, you know what, Jen, I think I'm going to start weighing myself more often, then let's do it. But out of the gate, oftentimes it's, I'm just going to weigh myself every day. And then it becomes a spiral of negative thoughts. And so that's when we have to start talking about it, because everyone doesn't even realize that's what they do. But yeah, so is that kind of what you were thinking I was going to say? But
yes. Yeah, it's digging into those feelings of why that number makes you feel that way.
Right.
And we do the same thing, like, if it's just a huge trigger, we don't need to weigh right now. So it's completely okay.
Right. And detaching from the actual ultimate number is also helpful, is trying to detach. Why 20 pounds? What is 20 pounds so important to you? Why 15 pounds? Why is it, why does it have to look like that? So what would that look like for you? What would that feel like? And so instead of looking at the number, let's associate with what it looks like. What are you going to be doing at that quote unquote weight? So let's disassociate. Maybe you're not that weight, but what would you be doing? What would it look like for you if you felt like you were 15 pounds lighter or 20 pounds lighter? It's associating that feeling and then saying to yourself, does it really have to be 15 pounds? Because you and I both know when you lift weights, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's 5. Sometimes it's like, wow, look at you. You completely transitioned all of your body and it's 5 pounds. And if you're still associating with that number, it's difficult to break free from that.
Yeah, that number is very hard. But we have to remember a number doesn't define us. So giving it that power it needs to be addressed for sure.
Yes. It's hard to get to a neutral space with it though. I know, Clarissa, in my own experience and with the clients that I have, if you've been wishing for that number, or if you believe that's the ultimate number, it's disassociating. What does it mean to you to weigh 120 pounds? Why is that so important to you? Because it's important to recognize why it's so important and recognize that it's really not the number, it's what you were feeling and the experience you're having at that number.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Awesome. So does anybody have any questions? You have any more questions?
There's a lot of people on Facebook watching, but
they're watching.
Yeah, they're watching. So if you're on Facebook and you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We'll definitely get to them.
I can ask a question before anybody else does, if no one
Sure.
else does. You mentioned social media before, and I think that this type of mindset work is especially crucial with social media. I don't know if anybody on Instagram follows him, but there is a gentleman who is exposing influencers left and right, up to 2 million followers for Photoshop. And this includes bodybuilders who are photoshopping stage photos as well. So I didn't know, when it comes to social media, if you had any advice, because I know a lot of the times in my experience, I used to follow people who made me feel bad about myself, and I would look at them on purpose to almost feel bad about myself.
Right.
So do you give any advice when it comes to like cleansing social media followings or like behaviors that might be more beneficial on social media for people who might be stuck in that cycle?
Yeah, I mean, it's the pain shopping you're talking about. Yeah. We go pain shopping when we're feeling really bad about ourselves. Let me scroll and see how horrible I really am. In general, I do recommend that, if you are following somebody that's even overly inspirational people, that everybody's happy all the time, it's like, find the people that are going to be kind of real and resonate with you. I think anybody, social media, TV, pictures, even movies, sometimes it can be triggering for somebody. And it's helpful to kind of let you navigate it. And if it's making you angry, or if it's making you upset about yourself, then obviously it would be a good opportunity for you to kind of like put it through your filter and kind of like, and there, it doesn't mean that you don't have to be on social media at all. It just means like stop following the people that are just triggering for you. And you might be okay with it sometimes, and you might not be okay. But if you know you're pain shopping, you might want to go through your feed and just unfollow just for a little while, and then see if you can, follow them again. Yeah. So that's a good point. I mean, as far as that's concerned, social media is very helpful. And I just listened to a podcast this morning, just on the side, but how our focus is being stolen by social media, and how we don't even realize that it's happening. So definitely creating your own boundaries and parameters around time you spend and when you're feeling what you're feeling, and knowing that, this is the time I'm going to spend on social media. Obviously, they should be spending it in your group, and that's basically it, and, spending time here and talking to each other and being in the supportive groups, and not being on I don't know about you, but other groups are out there and they're like, they actually have groups that have like, eating really little, and everyone's advising everyone on how to do things, and there's nobody that's an expert, and it's kind of a wild west. So it's definitely for curating. We don't even realize that it's happening, that we can be drawn into it, and that can really mess with your mind. So like you said, it's normalizing yourself and looking at people that are normal like you and following them, not somebody that's photoshopped or looking for accolades, for sure. Yeah, it's a good point.
That was an excellent question. I saw something come through on Facebook. Let me pull back. So Deandra says, fire, with little fire emojis. I'm totally nerding out and loving this. You're an inspiration to many, but especially women like me who are also passionate about this aspect of mindset and self-awareness and care, and know how important it is to incorporate it into coaching. Thanks so much. Deandra is actually our coach that is like specializing in
mindset. Okay, awesome. That's good. I love that.
Then, Colleen, she says, being newer to macros, right now I'm at maintenance. When you go into fat loss mode, wouldn't that be considered a diet?
So that's something that's really challenging. So it's specific to the person. Having yourself go into a fat loss mode, as long as you're being guided by a coach that's not keeping you under your BMR, that's keeping you at a low state and is actually checking in with you. So if you're living at a very restrictive, self-denial over exercise state, then that's not the state you want to be in. We all know that if we're working towards a goal, that sometimes a little bit of postponement, as I call it, is not bad. It's if you are self-denying at the expense of your metabolism, if you notice that you're not sleeping, if you notice that you are hungry all the time, if you are moody and craving, then that is a state that you don't want to be in at all. Because actually, quote unquote, losing fat, it's not painful if you are in maintenance now. So it's actually, if you're going to go into to a fat loss cycle, you're in maintenance now, it's actually doesn't take much. If you're kind of maintaining, it doesn't take a whole lot to kind of just take out some of the, lower your calories just a little bit, your macros, just adjust them. I have clients that all I do is, I don't even maybe 10 to 100 calories a week. That's it. And they start to see results. Is it quick, easy results? I don't like to see that really quickly. Of course, that's not sustainable and predictable, but if that's what you're looking for, that can happen. But in the long term, when you're in maintenance, it's always easy to go to just a quick, hit and go back to maintenance. And what's awesome about that, when you go back to maintenance, you can actually go higher because your body's so revved and ready. And it's actually quite helpful to kind of undulate. We go through seasons, so you got to undulate your calories anyways. You can't stick at the same. I don't know, maintenance can be one number today, but 6 months from now, maintenance might be different based on your current circumstances, your stress, your work life, your exercise. You might be menopausal, you might be having your cycle, all those things can change. So even change of environment specifically for women can change how they metabolize food. So definitely going into a quote unquote, I hate the term now because it's such a buzzword now, is calorie deficit, but everyone's like, you have to do a calorie deficit. And it's like, that's such a carte blanche statement, but yeah. So I hope that answers that question.
Yes, she said that was great information. Thank you.
Sure.
And then your coach, or sorry, Louisa, your client, Karen, she says, I'm learning this now thanks to Louisa. So
awesome. Good. She knows what she's doing. Yeah, that's exactly. You guys know what you're doing. That's why you guys are here. So if you guys that are like watching and you're not coaching with these guys, they've got your back. I mean, we are here as coaches. We're here to help you eat more, love your life, get the results you want, and not be miserable and be like with your friends going, oh, I'm so fat and all this other stuff. We're here to support you and give you that uplifting and empowerment that you can go to a party and you like, okay, not feel like I got to go work it off, or I don't deserve this, or I deserve this. You deserve everything. So that's what's huge. So that's awesome.
it's huge. All right. Does anyone here on the call with us have questions? We don't have any more on Facebook.
No more.
Are we good?
Awesome.
Well, if nobody has questions, we can go ahead and wrap it up. I know we've taken quite a bit of your time tonight on a Wednesday night.
I appreciate it. No, I would like to leave with, so if anybody's looking for, when we're starting any journey, and like I said, you don't want to start your day with problems. The one person I read a lot, and Simon Sinek is huge on healthy happiness habits. And so if you are in a negative mindset about yourself and you start your day with your problems, there's a set of 5 habits to happiness that you can try for the next 21 days. And it's been proven through science that if you try these 5 habits, one of them, you can pick one and you do them every day for 21 days, even if you have, everyone says they have like an ultimate negative mindset. After 21 days, your happiness meter goes up a bit. So if you can practice something for 21 days, every single day, it's really important, because then after the 21 days, you can actually see, and gratitude and thankfulness is one of the big keys for helping you create a positive mindset and create consistent results in life. So, so the 5 habits, and I'll read them off to you. And I can send you a copy of this, Clarissa, if you want.
That would be great.
Awesome. So I had it up. All right. So he talks about 5 habits. So the first of the 5 habits would be every single day, end your day with 3 new things you're grateful for. They have to be new. So 3 new things you're grateful for. The second one would be picking an experience to have an amazing experience in life. So like, those times where you're like, just like, this was so awesome and you feel great and all this other stuff, write it down and go back to that and write everything about that experience, detail to detail, and go back to that experience when you're feeling low. The third one, if I can find it the third one is actually every single day, take 2 minutes and write a gratitude note or a letter, email, letter, whatever. Send somebody that you know in your life that you'd like to say how they influenced you or how you feel grateful for them being in your life. And then the last one, I hope that was 5. Yeah. So end the day with gratitude, 2 minutes every day. So the 15 minutes of fun in the morning, fun cardio, as I say, dancing. I know we have purpose for cardio. We always have that purpose, but why not do something fun? Do something fun. Dance around in the morning, 15 minutes. Do 15 minutes of just playing with the dogs, playing with your kids, playing around the yard, just doing something that's fun for 15 minutes that raises your cortisol. your endorphins. And then meditation is also one. 2 minutes every 90 minutes throughout the day is another one. So those are the 5.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you want to share that, that would be great.
Awesome. Cool. I'll share them out to you.
Right now.
I'll send you an email with those in there.
Cool, thank you. And then I'll
Yes.
post it for everybody. We did have one more question come through on Facebook if you want to answer that.
Sure.
Sam says, what do you do when you're helping a client that has an eating disorder such as bulimia and you're trying to train them to get into a show, like a bodybuilding show? Do you recommend that the individual stops and sees a physician? A lot of women suffer from eating disorders and feel that they have to look a certain way or they aren't approved in society.
Yeah. In my experience, it's out of your scope of practice to be working with someone with bulimia, especially putting them in a state of working towards that particular goal. If the person is an active bulimic, I would definitely refer them off to a therapist or somebody that deals with eating disorders. You can continue to work with them, but work in conjunction with the therapist. Most times it is out of your scope of practice if someone is in active eating disorder, even if they've experienced an eating disorder, always tread lightly and make sure that the person is not always seeking that goal of weight loss, because it could be a trigger for their eating disorder. So,
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that's exactly.
Good question.
If you're lucky enough, that they find a therapist that will work with you,
That's true.
that's excellent. A lot of the times the therapist won't, they want sole control over everything that's going on.
Right. Yeah. There's some therapists out there that are kind of willing to work because they know that coaching can be helpful. As long as you guys are on the same page. You always want to find a therapist that's on the same page with you, that you guys are working in conjunction with one another. The one thing I do like to work with, a lot of the ladies, I like to teach them intuitive eating. So bulimics and anybody that's had previous eating disorders, it's good to kind of work into that intuitive eating more so than just macro counting and working towards a body image goal. Yeah.
No, I agree 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. Good questions.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. You have a
Awesome.
couple thank yous on Facebook.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time tonight, Jen. This was
Yes.
I certainly enjoyed it.
Oh, I appreciate it. I love talking to women and I love talking about this. So anytime anybody needs to reach out to me, they can find me on Facebook, but I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to chat with these ladies, because I know you're doing a great job, and I'm of the opinion that we as women need to find other women that are supportive like us as coaches and to uplift each other, because we're trying to teach you to have better body image and also eating well and living a great life. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, well, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, you're welcome. You'll have a great rest of your night.
All right, thanks guys, have a good one.
Thank you.